It's Shootin the Bull, a podcast by Idaho Department of Fish and Game.
Just like kind of like you and I talked on the phone, like if there's names and stuff that are part of active investigations or anything like that, you know, some of that
really dive into those.
Yeah. Then there's this guy Connor.
Yeah.
No kid. All right.
He was skinning squirrels
Without a permit.
Is that right?
He had 100,000 of them in his garage.
Only 6 or 7.
Oh, is that right? I didn't know. So I knew something new.
Yeah. Now, great. He's got 2 weeks to investigate me, and then he's out.
Yeah.
Who is? Oh, me. No kidding.
All right. We are here shooting the bull with Brian Marek, one of our conservation officers who has 2 weeks left after 29 years with Idaho Fish and Game. Brian was the 2019 Shikar Safari Club International Award winner, the 2004 Employee of the Year with Fish and Game, and this is your 26th year as an officer, right, Brian?
That's correct. Yep.
Well, welcome.
Welcome.
What were you doing those 3 years?
I was a wildlife tech.
Oh.
So I worked for Neil Johnson as basically we did everything, kind of the grunts for the officers. Basically, we would go out and, catch deer. I did a lot of survey work in a helicopter. Any injured nuisance animals that were running around town, we'd go take care of them. Mm-hmm. So yeah, just a fun time of to get in the department and pretty much turned us loose to go out and actually had a take-home truck. We lived in Boise, and the office was in Nampa, and we thought we were pretty cool driving an old 1980 Ford back and forth to work because you never know what would happen. It might be a dead deer along the road that we'd have to scoop up in the morning or whatever. So.
When you started as a tech, was your goal to become an officer, or was it elsewhere?
It was elsewhere. I wanted to be a wildlife WMA manager, a wildlife management area. I wanted to work on the WMAs and be able to go to do the habitat work on the property. Specifically, I like the marshes and to work on the. That time, Fort Boise WMA was our big one, and my goal was to maybe work there or at the Cecil D. Andrus WMA over near Cambridge.
And that was your intention. Did you go to school for biology stuff, or did you answer an ad in the paper? Like I want to squeeze fish and tackle deer.
I originally was going to be an engineer. Okay, so I got to school to be an engineer, and so parents forwarded over a bunch of money to go to a technical school to be an engineer, and I lasted 3 semesters, and that was done. So I switched over to what I like to do, which was hunt fish and be in the outdoors, and so that really got me to go towards the wildlife management degree, and so.
Where'd you get your schooling done?
I went to the College of Forestry in Syracuse, New York, called SUNY ESF. It was a State University College of Environmental Science and Forestry. And, that was a great school. I mean, we had the thing that really got us involved and got me interested in wildlife with that is that we had a summer program where we would go to the mountains. We had the Adirondack Mountains there, and they had a place that we could go and study deer and bears and all that stuff. And I worked for grad students and really got hands-on experience getting after critters there. So it was a pretty neat college if anybody's interested.
See, we somehow in this, whenever we sit down with people, we end up talking about back east somehow.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And you are sitting here now like full embodiment of somebody who came from the east to the west.
That's correct. Yeah.
So you did a lot of your training out there, and then what led you west?
So that's where the story takes an interesting. I had no idea about coming west.
Did you even know what Idaho was?
No, not at all. So I had a buddy. Well, first off, right out of college, I graduated in '91 from College of Forestry. I was sent to Florida to work for an environmental company. We were studying the effects of pesticides on wildlife down there. So we'd go through and trap birds and small mammals, and then they'd come through and they'd dump their chemical on to make the oranges nice and orange, and we would go back through and recapture those animals and test their blood and the toxicity levels in their blood, and pick up carcasses and everything else that might have passed away due to that. But anyway, I met a kid there from Maryland named Kevin Anderson, and Kevin and I got along really good. He was a back easter like me, and here we are in Florida, hunters, bow hunters mostly. We started getting involved with the farmers because they also had, hog problems on their place. And so we got to doing the whole, hey, how about if we come out here and shoot hogs and with our bows, and then we'd go back and have barbecues with all of our comrades back there at our business that we worked for. And it was spectacular. And but unfortunately, that didn't last very long. The chemical company we worked for decided that we'd have to move again to another place, and I wasn't ready to move again. So, and we were young and trying to find our ways, and Kevin jumped in his truck and drove to Boise, Idaho. And I stayed in Florida, worked at Disneyland, or Disney World of all places.
Oh, right? Man. Picking up carcasses?
No, I was a guest services host.
Oh.
I wore a suit and tie, and I tell people, sell them tickets, and I would, in the evenings, I would park cars. I parked the car for Shaquille O'Neal back then. He was an Orlando Magic guy.
How far did you have to move up the seat?
You weren't allowed to touch their seats, right? So, no touching their seats. And so I had to really stretch to get Shaq's, as obviously folks can't see us, but you can see I'm 5'9", and he was 7'6" or whatever he was.
7'2".
Yeah. So anyway, that's a funny story. But anyway, the bottom line is Kevin came out here and was working construction, and he got a tech job with the Fish and Game department for an 8-month position. And he called me up and he said, "Hey man, you need to come out west, man. This was a place to be. Mm-hmm. We got bears, we got sheep, we got goats, we got mountain lions. I mean, there's everything out here.
No humidity.
Right. No bugs. Florida was cottonmouths and spiders.
No hogs.
No hogs. No hogs. But anyway, he's the one that said, "Hey man, pack up." And I'm like, I can't do it. I can't just come without a job. So he's like, 2 days later, he goes, "Hey, I got my boss on the line. He wants to do a phone interview with you." And so I did a phone interview, and he says, "Hey, we could use another technician out here in Idaho. Let's do it." And
where was that at?
That was in Nampa.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that was in Nampa. There was a wildlife tech job there. And so, I packed up my bag, drove from Florida, Orlando, to Lindenville, New York, grabbed my stuff from my house, and drove the rest of the way to Idaho. And the funny thing about Kevin is he was like, "Hey man, there's plenty of room. We got plenty of room." I said, "I'm not going to inconvenience anybody." "Yeah, we got plenty of room. All kinds of room out here. You just show up and we'll make it happen." And so I show up at like, underestimate my time. I got there at like 5 o'clock in the morning, and the lights were all out. And I'm like, "Is this the right house, right?" I mean, a little gingerbread house, right? Yeah. And I was like, "He said we got plenty of room. I'm not sure if I got the right address." Because back then there was no phones. There's no Google Maps or anything like that, right? So I'm just looking at the address on the door, and it's like, well, this is it, And so I waited a while, and I knocked on the door, and he answered. He's like, gave me a big hug. He's like, "You made it," because he didn't know I was coming. Basically, he was going to get there a certain day, right? Yeah. No phones. And anyway, I'm getting deep here, but there we were. I mean, there was already a guy living there, so I slept on the couch. That was all the room I had. I had to sleep on the couch, but it was a great place to start, and started working the next week with Idaho Fish and Game as a wildlife tech.
And now, almost 30 years later, full complement of technology in your belt.
Yep.
It was. You could just text somebody now, like, "I'm outside."
Right, for sure. But anyway.
So once you came to the Treasure Valley, did you ever leave, or did you stay put?
I left just for the Treasure Valley for my first patrol gig.
Okay.
So I worked as a wildlife tech for 3 or 4 years. I saw you guys had a podcast with Justin Williams. I mean, when I was in that group, and I chickened out. I didn't want to be an officer at the time. I said I'm going to continue to try to be the WMA guy, but I couldn't compete with the masters and the PhDs and everybody else that was applying, and
all the people from University of Idaho.
You're right. So I decided I was gonna have to make a decision because they kept saying, "Hey, there's a chance we're gonna have full-time technicians sometime," and but it never happened, and so I guess they say I went to the dark side. I came over to the dark side.
Well, obviously you wanted to stay with Idaho Fish and Game, long enough because you weren't looking at other jobs at the time.
No. I mean, I had other jobs. I mean, I was a cook at the Burger and Brew restaurant, and I built houses for companies, and so since it was only an 8-month position, I had to fill in time. And I was thinking, man, the construction business is pretty good and it's really good money, but it wasn't. It just wasn't for me, right?
Yeah.
All the stuff that goes on behind the scenes there with everybody yelling at each other. So yeah, I just started hanging out with the Fish and Game guys and working real close with the officers in the area, and got to know a bunch of them. And they said, hey, next time a spot comes up and you should jump, I think you'd be good at it because you can talk to people and and you still have the ability to go do your wildlife gig on the side, as far as the all your flying and all the stuff that I was doing beforehand.
Yeah. Were you single at this time moving, or did you have to bring a family out here?
Yeah, single. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Makes it a little easier, I guess.
Yeah. So
a little untethered.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what's neat about the regions is you were touching on it a little bit, but they feels like a family at least when we go visit into the regions. It's everybody has their purpose, and it seems very like tight knit. Yeah,
for sure. I came from a big family. I got 8 brothers and sisters, so it was and everybody's still back there in the east, and I just was black sheep, I guess, and came out west, and so you depended on your coworkers at the time, and just the restaurant business was a great place to meet people. There's meet all kinds of folks there, so that really helped the social side of things, and not feel quite as homesick with your family way back.
Yeah, easy way to get acclimated.
It helped,
people and all the stuff that's going on. Mm-hmm. So once you went to the dark side, where were you first?
What was your first?
I think our other COs would be like, "Hey, now."
I know. I pick on those guys a lot.
Yeah. But, well, you're one of those guys.
Yeah.
Where was your first patrol?
My first patrol was Arco, Idaho.
Oh,
yeah. Atomic City there. First atomic place to be lit.
This might be a little personal, but do you glow at night?
Yeah, I might. No, I wasn't quite there long enough to catch the atomic fever. I was there for just over a year, 15 months, I think, is what my time was there.
I can't remember what Justin's patrol area was, but I know it was somewhere.
He was
up
right
in
next
there.
to me. I mean,
in Mackey.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you guys ever cross paths at all?
No, by that time, it was before Justin's, because Dave Silcock was the officer in Mackey, and so I think Justin grew up in Mackey. His family was
yeah, it sounds right.
Yeah, and then so the officer in there was Dave Silcock, and my supervisor at the time, Mark Carson. I mean, those guys were fantastic because, imagine your first patrol area, you send out to the middle. It's kind of middle of nowhere. I mean, Idaho Falls was the closest town, which is it's quite a distance, and so those guys did a really good job of trying to. It was kind of a culture shock for me coming from Nampa, Boise country.
Yep.
Go out there. But the patrol area was fantastic. I stayed at the Mackey Hatchery. We lived there until I could find a house. And then when I did find a house, I found like a 5-bedroom house for like $300 a month. It was just like, this is really neat, But anyway, small town, totally different there. Small town stuff. I mean, you work real close with the sheriff's office. You work real close with the community. I kind of lost here, and once I came back, there's plenty of officers running around, not like Butte County where they got one officer on duty at any one time. So, but fantastic place to start as far as I was concerned. The resource was fantastic. I mean, I was, again, saying, wasn't married at the time, and I had, so just to go out and explore that country was fantastic. Had the big lost, the little lost, rivers, and then all of, just
Copper Basin area.
Copper Basin was actually technically Mackey, but I had Pass Creek and all that country over. And it was just fantastic. I could spend hours and hours, and then even the hayfields right there, because a lot of animals came down in the hayfields, and so some of my favorite memories are just listening to the wheel lines going off at nighttime when I'm waiting for spotlighters to come shoot the elk that are coming down in the hayfields.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so fantastic. Just sitting out there all night long waiting for a spotlighter or something, and it was cool at night. It gets hot and kind of in the hot summertime, so it was a good time to be out there.
This is where you put one of those sound effects in.
Yeah.
Would that be like August time? Greenfield stuff?
August,
time?
September, yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah.
How often would that happen?
A lot.
Really?
Yeah.
Dang.
Yep. And it was a lot of nighttime stuff going on around that.
Little hair raising a little bit?
I didn't. Maybe I was naive. I thought it was actually kind of fun to catch those guys, right?
Yeah.
So, and at that time, I mean, most people just like, okay, you got me. It was, is what it is.
I'll try again tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly. Something like that. So, yeah, I mean, it's what we do, right? I mean, it's not like I had another backup. I couldn't call a sheriff because they had to deal their own stuff, and
right.
And Dave, he was doing his own stuff, and so yeah, you're one guy out there in all that country, and that's what you did. So it was so it was neat. I mean, I really enjoyed that. Just the evenings there and the elk bugling in the fields, and I haven't heard a ton of elk bugling.
Not in New York.
You're right. So
or Florida.
Pretty cool. Yeah. Yeah.
At this time in your life or your career, were you open to kind of floating around and checking out different patrol areas, or did you have your sights set back on the Treasure Valley?
Yeah. I had my sights set back on Treasure Valley, and
what was it about the Treasure Valley and that just those patrol areas in particular that you really wanted to get back to?
Well, it wasn't an area; it was a person.
Yeah,
so
there we go.
My future wife was from there, and we ended up getting married. She was from Treasure Valley. So
were you two courting during this time when you were up in Arco?
Yes.
Oh, that's lovely.
Yep, long distance relationships are fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, we ended up getting I don't know if I should, but we met through the police academy. She was a police officer too. So
no kidding.
Yeah. Couldn't fraternize at the police academy. That wasn't allowed. But after all was said and done, we started hanging out and seemed to be going good. But Chief Nicholson at the time said I had two options. I could either find another job or I can go to Arco. So I was like, I'm going to Arco because that's the only job there was around. So.
Yeah. So you found your way back to the Treasure Valley.
Yeah, found my way back after 15 months. The 331 patrol area popped up there, and that's where I've been ever since. So,
which patrol area is that on a map specifically?
So Treasure, it's called the Payette patrol area. Basically, it's all of Unit 38, or not all of 38, but part of 38, 32, and so all the Nampa, Caldwell, Notice, New Plymouth, Fruitland, all the little towns there along the border of the Snake River.
Okay.
Yeah.
Marsing
is actually in 328 spot, so right next door, other side of the river.
Yep.
Since it's in Owyhee County, I've got everything in the Canyon County side. On the
Owyhee?
Yep, Homedale's Owyhee too. Yep. So
you just must love green pastures or something.
I do. Yeah. So
there is something peaceful about the Western Treasure Valley. There's just something that's just, I don't know.
Yeah,
peaceful and comforting.
Same thing here. I mean, being out at nighttime, instead of smelling hay, you're smelling the mint fields. Mint fields, again, it's just weird how those things stick in your mind. I mean, the mint fields and same type of stuff. Guys are out there sniping stuff at nighttime with, when they weren't supposed to be. So
when were those elk taste like?
All right. Well, we didn't have elk back then when we showed up. It was all deer. So these elk didn't start showing up in my area until, a few years ago, or maybe 10 years ago. They started a few here and there. Now we're overrun a little bit by them, and they're causing all kinds of problems. So we're hoping to change that by changing the regulations this year, and you can actually hunt them.
Yeah.
Never could hunt elk in 38.
Did you grow up hunting in New York?
I did, yes, yeah.
Okay.
Again, 8 brothers and sisters. We had to feed the family. Whitetail City, sitting in the tree stands.
What part of New York did you say you were from? Like, what if you're looking at a map? Like,
all right, so Lindenville is a little town I was born and raised in. So right between Rochester and Buffalo on Lake Ontario. So
way up there.
45 Western New York.
Yeah.
So right between Buffalo. It took me 45 minutes to get to Niagara Falls.
So you've had some weather shock in your life to go from 8 feet of snow to high
8 feet of mint,
90% of humidity in Florida to
blizzard of 77 is stuck in my mind. My dad was at work, stuck there, and my mom was home with all the kids, and it was just holy cow. Can you imagine? And so, but yeah, we opened the door and it's just a solid wall of snow. And so she dug out enough to get us to go outside and get the heck out of her hair. So
get to school.
Yeah, no
school.
Yeah, but then we ended up getting my dad. We went and got the snowmobiles fired up, and we were able to pick him up with a snowmobile so he could get home. But it was with the winter lake effect snow was definitely a thing.
Oh, man.
When did you shoot your first deer?
You couldn't hunt till you're 16 in New York at that time.
Wow.
So, yeah.
So 12?
Yeah, I can't go that far. But, yeah, I think my dad was pretty strict about, the rules. We kept a tight ship there for the most part. But, yeah, first deer was with my brothers. My dad was he was an older guy, so he wasn't running around as much with us. It was mostly me and my brothers running around at that time. And so my first duck I probably shot when I was 8 with my older brother. We were hunting ducks on the lake, and he said, "There's one, I'll give it a try with a double barrel shotgun." And I was able to get my first duck. But anyway, we kept that under wraps because our game wardens were, again, back then, the game wardens weren't, I never had any bad experiences with them. Yeah. But they just, it was all private land. We didn't see them very often. And and the one that was there was not, he had a kind of a nasty reputation. So it's just what it is, I mean.
Old Ironsides.
Yeah.
That when we've talked to conservation officers on this podcast, that's always a question that I kind of wonder if, was there ever an experience with a game warden or a CO in another wherever you grew up? Yeah, that kind of shaped your experience or your.
Yeah, no, not really. I mean, this officer was the only experience I ever had with him was when we were riding our sleds and we found our snowmobiles, and there's a deer wounded in our pasture, and back legs weren't moving, so we brought it. Put it on a sled, brought it in the barn, and called Officer Toohey up to see if he'd come and figure out what happened to it. And 2 days later, he showed up, and the deer was dead by that time. But he was nice enough, super nice guy. But, pulled up in his sedan. We threw it in the trunk, and he took it away. And that was it. I mean, but no negative experiences. And we were never trying to hide from them or anything. I mean, but, the game warden thing just... To be honest with you, it didn't really hit me until I got to Idaho. I mean, it was in the 90s because I had gone to school all this time to be hopefully be a biologist type guy. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So when you got back to Nampa, what was your first week on the job like?
Oh, it was great. And people everywhere. Kind of, again, went back from culture shock to culture shock the other way where lots of people. But I really was enjoying that. I mean, it was nice to be able to go talk to people because.
Yeah. Did they welcome you back with open arms?
Oh, yeah. Everybody was super nice. My boss at the time was Charlie Justice. He moved to district conservation officer, so left his patrol area open. So I knew all those guys. I worked with them all beforehand because when we first started, it wasn't like you got your job and you go to Arco. I mean, I was able to get hired on and work with as an officer, tech, kind of an officer tech, with all these guys. And beforehand, then they sent me to post. Then they sent me to, once I graduated post, they gave me the Arco job, and so I knew everybody. Everybody was, except they were higher up the chain, right? But a lot of guys there, same guys that were there when I left, and so we all got along really good and jumped right in. And interesting how the population has changed over the years. I mean, at that time, Nampa was, I think I wrote it down, Nampa was 29,000 people there in Nampa. Now it's 122,000.
And Cuna now is probably closer to the size of 29,000.
Yeah. So, but a lot of activity, a lot of people out and about, a lot of contacts made. I mean, and I guess that was fantastic to come back to and to the guys I knew when I worked with before, and they were all glad that I was able to get back there.
Yeah.
And my future wife was glad too. So,
so we talked a little bit about Justin, who most of his career has been in isolation.
In the backcountry.
I say that lovingly. Yes, in the backcountry. And then we talked to a new conservation officer, Sam Oberto, and he's got 1 million acres that he oversees south of Twin Falls. And yours is different. Like you've been primarily urban, closer to a lot more small towns and city of Nampa, city of Boise. Like, I guess I want to really kind of find out how is it different?
Yeah, just the sheer number of people for sure, and people in town seem to be a little bit less likely to figure out the rules. It seems like if you're going to spend the time and you're going to be out going in the backcountry and hunting, guys are a little bit better at not violating. So I had tons of violations in towns where guys were either fishing without licenses. It's small potatoes compared to the big game, the big giant cases. But I was able to get involved with those later in my career as well. But it just...
Is it a lot?
I'd write like 400 plus violations a year there, in my first few years, just because, I'm not sure what it was. I mean, fishing game wasn't a big thing. I mean, it wasn't like, I can't fish. I need a fishing license to fish in this pond. It's like, that's where the fish come from. The fish are paid for by sportsmen from the hatcheries that go into these ponds. And by you taking 22 fish out of here, you're going over your bag limit. You're affecting the rest of the thing. So,
do you feel like in the urban environments, kind of going back to what you're saying about the backcountry, like there's more? Do you feel like the nefarious stuff happens? Well, obviously, just being around more people, there's more nefarious activity. Do you get treated differently in the urban areas than you did when you were in Arco? Are you treated more like a law enforcement agent when you're in, let's say you're at Wilson Ponds or something? Yeah,
for sure. They just you look like a cop, right? You got your gun and your badge, and you're a policeman, and you're not a game warden, so, which is, we're trained for doing both things, so I've pulled a lot of drugs off people. I've done a lot of DUI stuff, so a lot more of that going on than your typical warrants, a lot of warrants that you got to deal with, right, in town, because guys are, failed to show up for whatever reason, and so now you got to deal with that. So spent a lot of time in the Canyon County Jail transporting guys there, and but it's back then again. It was all you had your county sheriffs and everybody were great to work with, and if you couldn't get them, then they would come pick them up if they had warrants. And so I learned that after a while. I'm tired of taking these guys and wasting my day running them to court. I just called the sheriff's office, and they got 15 guys on, and they can come pick them up and take them and be done with it. So, I don't know if there's any difference in respect or whatever, but the folks in town were just, they didn't. It was almost like they were clueless on the laws of. They knew that you couldn't speed, but they didn't know. You couldn't have a barbed hook in Wilson Pond when there was no barbed hooks there, type of stuff.
It's no mystery that there's out-of-state people that are moving to Idaho. I don't know about this at this time, but definitely so in the last 20 years. And that's something that I've seen in my circles where people get upset with out-of-staters for leaving trash or doing things that may or may not be part of kind of just the Idaho growing up, like the ethics of, being a sportsman. I don't know. I'm curious if that's part of it.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's always been litter trash guys, dumping on the land ever since I've been here. I mean, and just the opposite, I caught a guy one time who was, I saw him go heading out to my desert country. I got some desert country too, out BLM country, and this guy had a pickup load full of tires and pallets and stuff. And so I'm like, this guy, where's this guy headed? And so sure enough, he ends up, he takes the low road, I take the high road, and I peek over the hill, and he's down there shoveling all this stuff off.
More ways than one.
Right? Yeah. And he, when I stopped him, he says, "Hey, what's wrong with this? This is what we've always done." So that was an Idaho thing. I mean, this is what we did. We took our trash out to the BLM ground and dumped it. I mean, that was his excuse, whether it was true or not. But and it seemed legit. I mean, he seemed like, I can't do this. I mean, so I don't blame the new people, or people like to blame the new folks moving into town and all that stuff for the problems. I mean, I think it's always been here, but there are certain. I think it's more of a generational thing. It seems like people are more wasteful. I mean, they just these days. When I grew up, my dad, we salvaged everything, and we fixed it up. I mean, we never had a new car, or a new bike, or a new snowmobile. We always salvaged something and fixed it and kept it running. Now it's just disposable. Everything just goes out in the trash, and so it seems to me that that's more of a thing than out-of-staters coming in and dumping their, and no respect. So, but there are certain states where, guys will say, hey, I don't, in California, you don't need a fishing license to fish to certain areas, or you don't need it in Washington, you don't need a fishing license if you're fishing certain things. And, and that's not the case here. You need a fishing license no matter where you are, whether you're on a creek bank or dock or private pond. Yeah, you need a private pond's exemption, but everything else, you need a fishing license. And I guess the fact that they don't realize that's how we generate our income. It's different from other states where, they get taxpayer money and everything to fund their projects. So, and maybe they just weren't, whatever agencies there didn't focus on that type of stuff. So, kind of my opinion on that whole thing is that it's always been here. It's just
with more people comes more frequency, and with everything being disposable, there's just higher volumes of stuff to be pitched out, and maybe not new problems, but just higher volume of problems with higher volume of people.
That's it. Yeah, exactly, Ben.
So one of the questions we like to ask too is like, and yours is going to be different from Sam's. Like, what's in your tool bag? Sam had
sardines.
Had sardines for those nights. Maybe he got stuck out in the desert. He had a shovel in case he literally got stuck.
Yep.
He had his motorcycle.
I took my shovel out of my truck, so I don't have to. So I know better than to go get stuck somewhere. Just take it out.
That's just your trigger. Is like, I don't have a shovel. I can't go any further.
Right. And more than likely, you don't need to go that far anyway. I'll just story about that. But my toolbox consists of road maps, right? Getting our way around. I know my country pretty well right now, so I don't need that anymore. But
has technology changed some of that for you? Like, to be able to, do we use Onyx?
I think so.
Or do we just use Google Maps, or what do we?
Yeah, I'm an Onyx guy. For obviously know my land ownerships and know who, because my land, and even in our area, switches quite a bit. So you got to know that. So Onyx is definitely a big change. But when I started, we used paper maps. If I needed to find an address, I would look at, page 5. It did tell me that it was, okay, this was 1703 Highland Valley Road or whatever, and then I would have to go a map, and I have to try to find my way there from where I was, and so now I just punch it into my truck, and it tells me, hey, you need to go here. So response times are really helping out to get to places and things like that. And I'm a snack guy too, man. I always carry snacks and water. And
what's your snack of choice?
Yeah, so I'm a Tootsie Roll guy. Yeah.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, Tootsie Rolls and crackers.
Old school.
Yeah.
Ritz crackers and Tootsie Rolls. So those are my.
At the same time?
Yeah, sometimes. Yeah.
Depends on if he's feeling a little.
Yeah, a little frisky.
Yeah.
Yeah. So those are my two go. I got those on my rig just to keep my energy up. I'm not an energy drink guy. I don't do any of that stuff. I just try to do the natural thing. But the Tootsie Rolls keep my sugar levels up, I guess. But that's it. I carry I carry a catch pole. I carry a lariat. I have a lariat to lasso rodeo bulls that get loose on the highway. And,
Something tells me they didn't have them in New York.
No. Catch pole, trail cameras. I always keep trail cameras, like you say. Back in the day, the trail cameras are nice to put up. You see somebody vandalizing one of your WMAs or parking areas or something, you slap a camera up on it and deal with that. Graffiti and all that stuff. I mean, it's just terrible. So those cameras have helped me out a lot. Instead of sitting there at nighttime for all hours, I just got a cell camera up there. It tells me, hey, there's somebody there right now. Try to get a license plate or try to get over there before they get away. I don't have to worry too much about starving because there's a McDonald's or a Burger King around the corner somewhere.
At least within a half hour.
Yeah. So, but on that note, I mean, the good thing about my area is 331 patrol area is about only like 1,200 square miles, right? So Arco is like 2,000, almost twice as big. But because it's a small area, I get to float. They call me the roamer officer. So I spent a lot of time out of my area and in the Wahis and up in, I usually don't go quite as far as Cascade Donnelly is usually my outer limits, but a lot of time in the Weiser, Brownlee, Cambridge, Council Country, and so I get to roam around and nobody yells at me for doing that because
you've earned it.
Maybe, but the fact that there's only so many fishermen you can check in at Wilson Ponds or something like that. So I know been able to study a lot of ground in other areas and again help other guys that those giant areas just get another face. You go south in Owyhee, Craig Mickelson was my name, and now he's assistant chief, right? Mm-hmm. So he was my neighbor. He's my neighboring officer, so he would go south and I'd go. He stayed in northern portion of Owyhee County and worked the deer season over pretty good, and so that was fantastic to be able to do that and be able to be. And nobody's territorial, right? Nobody's like, hey, stay out of my patrol area. It was all, we got a state badge on our on our shoulder, not a pay it badge. And so,
were there any places, Brian, where they were like, all right, Marek, we're sending you to X, and that you were just like, oh God, I don't want to go out there? No,
man. I always enjoy going different country or different parts of Idaho, and yeah, I would go anywhere. I mean, we would had some. It was a big search warrant case where I went to Leto or Idaho, and I've never been to Leto or Idaho. I was like, I'm going to Leto. That's good. I get to be the lead search warrant guy on that thing. Of course, I got sued over it by the guy that we searched his place, but it was worth it to see Leto, and nothing ever came of the tort claim or anything.
Cool town, man.
But it was a neat country. I mean, and I was near there in Arco, but I never really went over the pass and into that country. So no, man, anywhere they want to, I was always willing to go wherever they want. And we, one of my favorite ones was going to Clearwater region. Had needed some help during the deer season. We were able to take jet boats up into Mackey Bar and go that way, and then drive up the mountain that way. And that was again an experience of a lifetime to go up and be able to run that Salmon River in a jet boat, and then go to our patrol cabin that we got planted back in there, and then take the pickup up in the hills and start checking people. And so fantastic. I was always willing to go and wish I could have done more of that actually over the years, but.
Well, there's always time after.
Yeah. Sure.
Jet boat's still running.
I know it is.
Have you ever floated the full salmon before down the Middle Fork?
Never. I mean, I was the shuttle runner one year for those guys, and our whole district went and did it because that part of that no return is actually in Region 3. You know, part of it is, and so. But, you know, the salmon guys always take over that part, but that's okay. So anyway, I really wanted to go, but I had something going on. I can't remember what it was. And so I was a shuttle driver, drove those guys and dropped them off and picked them back up. And I never have done the Middle Fork, but I'm going to try to put that on my bucket list here down the road. And maybe one of these, the salmon guys or Region 3 guys will invite me as a retired guy to go.
Yeah, now you get to be a volunteer.
Yeah, I could be the guy up front pretending to be a fisherman, fishing, and you know, as a decoy type of guy. And
that sounds good too.
Yeah, for sure.
I've got this volunteer opportunity.
So I'm looking forward to that before you break down any farther than I already am. But it's been a good gig for sure.
With 31 game species and over 35 million acres of publicly accessible land, hunting in Idaho is unmatched. Idaho Fish and Game hopes you make this your best season yet and reminds you to do your part and ensure it's a safe, ethical, and enjoyable season for others as well. Be sure to review the seasons and rules before heading out. And if you purchased a big game tag, don't forget to submit your mandatory hunter report. Your first-hand data is the science needed to help manage populations for the future. For tips to plan your hunt, check out GoHuntIdaho.org.
Hey, Jeff Knetter here, Idaho Fish and Game's Upland Game and Migratory Game Bird Program Coordinator. Back in summer 2024, we launched a project called Turkey Tracker. We aim to learn more about Idaho's turkey populations, and we'd like your help again this year. Turkey Tracker relies solely on folks reporting their turkey sightings. Because we are interested in tracking nesting success and reproduction, those observations of broods during July and August are especially important. So, next time you're out and about and see some wild turkeys, pull out your smartphone and document your sighting. Think of it as Pokemon Go meets birding. Right now is as important as ever to download the free Survey 123 app and get to spotting turkeys. The project has been super successful so far, but we still need your help. Head on over to Idaho Fish and Game's Wild Turkey webpage to learn more.
When you started at Idaho Fish and Game and came from Orlando, Florida, did you ever think you would see an alligator in this state?
Oh, yeah. No, I thought that I was done with alligators.
You weren't.
That was a couple of years ago.
You guys did some research, huh? Yeah. So, yeah.
We had some insiders.
Yeah. So, yeah, I've...
thriving metropolis of New Plymouth. Right?
Yeah. Right, New Plymouth. And then I've had a couple of Nampa, too. I had one in Caldwell where the mailbox lady was delivering mail early in the morning, and she went to put mail in a mailbox, and there's a hissing alligator down below the mailbox, and so that was Caldwell. So it's not just a New Plymouth one. I've had possibly four. And my wife, who was on a patrol, the guy went out to get his trailer ready to go camping. There's a big gator, it's like 5-footer underneath the camper, and so
in the world.
Of course, Nampa guys, they big tough cops, right? No, I'm just giving them heck. They're all good guys. They're like, hey, we don't know what to do with this thing. It's like, hey, grab it, catch it.
Yeah, did you lariat it?
You've watched Steve Irwin just freaking jump on its back and flip its nose back and tape it shut. So
we've got a pretty notable, reptile fella that lives in this region too with Corbin Maxey. Mm-hmm. You know, you could call Corbin.
That?
And,
yeah.
Oh, you don't know?
No, I don't.
Off mic.
Okay.
I'll introduce you to.
Yeah.
Maxey.
So yeah. I mean, we could have, should have, but yeah, they called me and we wrangled that thing up, and then the owner showed up, and he wasn't. He didn't have the permits to be having that.
I was going to say that's probably not top of mind permit wise.
Right. So I mean, Corbin's probably.
Did it have a collar on?
No, didn't have a collar, but he knew it by name, and and I was originally just going to grab it and go with it, and then we decided, since we're all animal lovers, even for alligators, and so we said, okay, well, you take it. He just threw it in the back of his car, and it just thrashing all over the place, beating. His mouth was shut, but it was not happy. And anyway, he drove off with it, and then later we dealt with the no permit issues, and went from there. I'm not sure where he ended up.
In the heat of the moment, do you understand what the violations are? Like if you get a call about an alligator, you're like, oh, okay, this is probably going to fall under code section whatever. Like that just seems like it's not something that's readily. I wouldn't be able to pull that up fast enough. I'm like, I'll take care of it, and then we'll. Yeah,
because certain animals. I mean, you'd be surprised. I mean, I was working for one time, and the sheriff's office called me, and they had like a python underneath a lawnmower. A guy went to move his lawnmower, and there's a python underneath of it. And but it was a ball python. You could buy them at anything you buy at a pet store. And I was like, it just must have got rid of. But there is a law against that. You can't. You had to have your cages secure. So for fishing game side, the python wasn't the problem, but the fact that they got out and escaped was a problem, right? Because he didn't have his cages. There's rules on that.
What other in an urban environment? What other things are like that? Like disposal of an animal you don't want anymore. Like getting rid of a python or even dumping
snapping turtle,
goldfish into a pond.
Yeah, you've seen that, right? Where they pass through those red shiners in the pond over here in Boise. Yeah, you can't do that. I mean, I had one of my birds. I mean, people get these birds from the pet store and they cut them loose because they get noisy and so, there's a lot of birds. Mostly Easter time where the duckling, not Easter, but spring when there's these ducks and people will dump their ducks. They get and rabbits and stuff and just turn them loose. See a lot of that at the WMAs where people just take their wildlife out there, their pets, and just dump them, which is a sad thing to see. Humane Society's pretty good at picking most of that stuff up and taking care of it. We don't have but there's other times where they can't be there because of you can't find a home for them or whatnot.
I suspect in this position, in any place in this state, Arco, salmon, you have to be pretty well connected to other agencies, and you've kind of alluded to like different police agencies and even Canyon County Jail. And how important is that in your patrol? To just be connected to the other agencies.
Oh yeah, that's huge. I mean, those guys are there for you, and you're there for them. I mean,
we've all got different.
Yeah, for sure.
Expertise.
Yeah, and we just had a case recently where a guy was shooting turkeys on the WMA and it was closed, and he didn't know what to do. So just having, I mean, I wasn't on duty or anything, but those guys all got your number. We got our numbers, and they'll usually answer the phone. I answered the phone and told them what, just walked them through it. I mean, they're certified peace officers just like us as far as enforcing Title 36 codes. So in this particular case, this guy, a new guy, he didn't know what the, difference between a turkey and a pterodactyl was, right? He wasn't really a hunter type at all. So, I just explained to him, hey, if you want to cite him, this is a code. This is what you do it with. Here you go. And then, and he took care of it himself and he got a stat for it. So we got a wildlife stat, which is good. Those guys need to have that under their belt. So if they testify in court or whatever, that's good to have a little bit of a background on that, instead of just handing it off all the time. Like I say, I started handing my arrestees out, especially when it came to drugs and stuff, because I didn't want to deal with those. Those guys are familiar with how to process all that stuff. And so I started handing that stuff off to the deputies, and they were super helpful in dealing with that. It's just been a huge headache to deal with that kind of stuff when they're professional. They've dealt with that every day.
Yeah.
We don't. So same with Oregon State Police. Their wildlife troopers are mostly enforcement officers, right? They don't do any wildlife stuff. So as far as capturing animals and stuff like that. So we work with those guys and quite a bit. We just got done working on Memorial Day saturation patrol in Brownlee Reservoir with those guys. And they're more police-ish than we are, and it's you can see that when we're working with them. I mean, the people on the banks and the people on the boats, they look at the guys in the blue uniforms versus the guys in the green and gray uniforms, two different people sometimes when we're really the same. And but anyway, definitely got to have those relationships with your neighbors. Neighboring officers comes in real handy.
Man, tell us about this Tazmanian these Tasmanians you chased out of the wilderness.
Yeah, so it wasn't my case. I can't take all credit for it, obviously, but Marshall Haynes, who's a retired guy out of McCall, you guys know Marshall, he was in the 333 patrol area, which was the Lowman, Idaho City, Atlanta, and he had the wilderness back there also, out of Atlanta. But yeah, these group of New Zealanders, actually from Tasmania, would show up, and we get reports back in the 90s of these guys.
Same crew, huh?
Same. Well,
this is also another sound effect time.
Yeah. So same ringleader, basically. Okay. Not the same group.
Was he like a guide or an outfitter from?
Yeah.
Okay, so he was just bringing different people.
Yeah, so they had like a hunt club there in Tasmania. And their thing was that everybody would put a bunch of money in the pot, and then they'd draw a name, and whoever name they drew, they would be able to go hunting in Idaho with this guy last name,
XYZ.
XYZ, right? So he was kind of the guy in charge, and so there's different guys every year, but same group. They had their same camp set up, same spot, and so they were kind of predictable a little bit. We knew where they're going to be, but it was super hard to catch them because they're so far back. They're 9 miles from the trailhead.
Did they hang a New Zealand flag off their trailer?
They did. And
if they're Walter?
No, the thing, they were totally incognito. The only thing that would give them away is that they were the only guys out on the hill running around with sneakers and shorts on, right, during November. I mean, this is when the deer season in 39 and the elk season didn't overlap. So the deer season would start in October, go to October 10th to 31st, and then elk season would go from the November 1st to the 9th. And so every year we get calls about, hey, these guys from Tasmania are walking out down a trail with 3 bulls, on opening day of season, right? It just didn't seem right. Something's going on here, right? And there's no meat. All they got is the heads. I mean, they're packing, they're on their backs, and we don't see any meat. And so Marshall put a plan together that when he became an officer there and got tired of hearing the rumors. And so it's like, let's go do something. Let's go check these guys out and see what we can do. So we went in there.
In green shorts?
No, we went in there incognito. Marshall and I went in
part of our uniform
first just to do surveillance on them one year. We're going to do first year is just going to be surveillance. And so we went in there, and he had horses, his mules, and I had a Rokon with 2-wheel drive motorcycle that, and we went around the backside, which was open. The other side was wilderness. And so we went in the side that I could take a motorbike up the trail. But this trail was, it was like Black Diamond times 17, right? It was, it was a terrible trail. It was right up the creek bank, bouldery rocks. I mean, it was nasty. So we got back up in there and pitched our tent, got everything ready, and expecting them to show up, and so we could, start doing some surveillance. And it snowed on us like 2 feet. And those guys never showed up. We're like, so we packed up our stuff and got back out of there. And the following year, 3 of us went in. It was Marshall, Brian Flatter, and I went in, and but there was like 11 guys involved with this deal. I have Fish and Game officers. It was like a huge deal. Forest Service guys were all involved, and so.
So time out. So had you had enough surveillance to kind of justify investing in this investigation, or was it still kind of in the surveillance stage?
Still a surveillance stage, right? Yeah, we still didn't know for sure, but we knew through channels, right? We knew that they were coming because of airplanes and everything have to go international. We knew that they were on the plane coming this way. So we got prepared, and we had the guys. We rode in on motorcycles with our stuff, Rokons again, and then we had 2 guys with horses that packed in our tents and our food and all of our supplies. And we got in there a day early and got all of our firewood cut because we knew it was going to be an extended period. And so it ended up being 9 days total of surveillance. And the 4th day before season, we knew we back up a little bit. We went up every morning. We get up, we climb 1,600 feet up to what we call our little eagle's nest. It was a perch that you could see all across the valley. And so we'd sit up there and wait and all day long, and sweating in the morning. It was 13 degrees the first morning out of the tent. It was 13 degrees. We were down Should have been in shorts, but in our T-shirts, hiking the hill, got up there, and ended up spotting them. You know, I was like, oh, there's a fire down there where the camp usually is. And then we started seeing guys roaming around the hill, and sure enough, okay, yep, here we go. And then on a ridge, their main camp was in the bottom of the creek, and on a ridge there's 2-3 guys setting up a spike camp up on the ridge, and wearing
same party.
Yeah, well, we assumed they're wearing shorts and t-shirt, or wearing shorts and sneakers. We're like, oh, it's got to be them. And so, sure enough, we were in the right spot. Everything came together. We were 4 days before the elk season. It was getting close to dark, and I was going to go down and start getting camp ready, you know, because we had to have all the supplies. We had to have water. We had to get water every day from the creek. And I started heading down the hill, and I started hearing gunshots from over there. 4
days before the season. Okay.
Yeah. And I'm like, awesome. You know, what's that all about, you know? And lo and behold, Marshall and Brian heard the same thing, right? So they started looking, and what's the chances? They saw this elk running through this little, you know, I mean, it's all wooded, few open patches of timber. And this elk was zigzagging through the timber, and it stopped in this little opening, and Brian Flatter had his spotting scope out, and he had a camera on that, and all of a sudden the elk goes boom, and then the gunshot went off. We could hear the gunshot like 2 seconds later.
Mm-hmm.
And we're like, all right, here we go. Sure enough. And yeah, sure enough, they did. They were killing elk before season. So right then and there, we had a pretty good celebration. When they came back down off the hill, we were like, all right, we got them. Now we got to find the elk. And it was 1.5 miles away. I mean, we were doing long range surveillance. It wasn't like we were right next to them, you know, pretending to be hunters. We were hiding out. We didn't want them to know we were in the area.
Sure.
And so yeah, the next day we kept watching them, and no more elk came through. And finally, we gotta go find out if that was an elk. You know, we got to prove this in court. So Brian and I watched the trail, because they would walk the trail every day. I sat down on the bottom of my radio and watched the trail. And Brian and Marshall put these little felt booties on, right? And because they didn't want to leave any tracks. And they hiked up there, and sure enough, they found the elk. Only part of it had been processed. You know, they took the front shoulder, and the other one with the rest. They cut the head off, one front shoulder, one rear quarter, and the rest of it was just laying there. And then the back quarter was like put into an opening, like it was just set there. I mean, it was no good. You know, it was warm. It was getting bad. So we assumed that they were going to use that for wolf bait, right? And shoot wolves over it, but we weren't sure. But anyway.
So they quartered it, but then just left it out in the open.
Yeah, just left it out.
They were trophy hunting.
Yeah.
Just straight up.
Yeah, for sure. And so, fortunately or unfortunately, there are no elk died. Other elk died on that trip.
Would you hear further gunshots?
No, we didn't hear anything else. And so the night we were packing up camp to come out, the wolves started howling crazy outside our tent, right? And I was just like amazed. I mean, I hadn't been around that big pack of wolves and just howling. And so I got out of my tent, and I'm shining my light. I want to get a picture or video of these wolves out beside our tent. And anyway, that's another one of my, your sights and smells of things. You know, it's midnight, and these wolves are just going crazy in the backcountry behind your tent. But anyway, we got out to the trailheads, came up with a plan on how we're going to take these guys down, because we knew they were going to come out. The outfitter was going to bring them out on the 3rd. Anyway, they showed up. They had elk, and plus they had 2 wolves with them. And they did get their wolves after all, you know.
You said the outfitter is taking them back out on the 3rd?
Yeah.
So they're only out there for 2 days.
Well,
no, the season?
They for elk season. Yeah.
Doesn't that seem a little stinky, a little suspicious?
Exactly.
Huh.
Yeah. Isn't that something? You guys are so confident in themselves that they can kill elk, that they're going to come out on like the 3rd. So anyway, we ended up being there, and Marshall introduced himself, said, hey, you know, at first just played the, hey, how'd you do? Yeah, we got an elk. Well, what day did you kill it? And they told us the date was, November 1st. We're like, nah, no, it isn't. So we did interviews in the pickup trucks with these guys, and 3 of them went to jail that night. We put them in a pickup truck,
The Atlanta jail?
No, they ended up going to Elmore County, which Atlanta jail would have been nice.
Yeah,
right?
it would
have
have
been
been
like a 15-minute trip, but they had to go 2 hours in the Elmore County handcuffed in the back of a police car going all that way. And so they took him to jail. Again, it's getting long, but they ended up bonding out because they wanted to just get it done with. And so they bonded out, paid like $16,000 to bond themselves out. And then, but they had to stay in Idaho. They couldn't leave until the judge came up with sentencing. And so the judge came up with sentencing. 2 of the guys were banned for life, not to ever come back in the United States and hunt again. The third kid got, he was an 18-year-old kid. He ended up, the kid that shot the wolves ended up getting like 4-year revocation of license. But they had to forfeit that $16,000 plus, a bunch of other civil restitution and everything else, and their rifles and whatnot.
Did they get the ringleader too?
Yeah, that's the one we got. That was the big one, right? So that was our main objective. And so we haven't seen them back since. There's rumors that some guys come back here and there, but this story is in the Game Warden magazine, and Marshall, I never remember, he told me that the most satisfying thing about that whole thing was when we were handcuffing those guys, a hunter was coming out, an Idaho guy was coming off the trailhead, and he's like,
in shorts?
No, just a regular.
He had his pants on.
He's all hot and sweaty, and actually working for elk, and he didn't kill anything, and he shook Marshall's hand and said, "Hey, thank you for catching these guys after finally. These guys have been up here doing this for all this time, and
wow,
it was nice to see." And then the backlash after that. I mean, it was kind of interesting to see how much attention this one got. We had an Australian reporter that was in New York City, reporting. He flew all the way out to Idaho to go see where these guys were and just kind of get the lay of land. And Marshall got interviewed by Times Magazine. And
wow.
And I remember we got an apology letter from the Australian government saying, "Hey, these guys are a bunch of hillbillies from Tasmania. That's not the way we represent, Australia.
We have pants over here.
Yeah, we're good. We treat our animals with respect, and what those guys did. So all that was just like, it was kind of like, holy crap! Now where do we go? And this was quite the episode, and could have ended there for Marshall, but he kept going for a bunch more years and went on to be a district conservation officer in McCall, and still doing his thing. But
still running mules.
But still running mules, and. But that was one of my stories that, it's going to sit with me because, living with these guys for 9 days in a 10 by 12 tent, side by side, and putting up with, it was I wouldn't say challenging. It was exciting for me being a young guy at that time. I had been on for 3 years to be, to be able to, go out on that call. And because I was, decent at riding a motorbike, and just being part of those senior officers and hanging out with those guys and learning techniques and tricks. But it took a lot of energy. We froze our butts off up on that hill waiting for stuff to happen. But
do some guys never get that opportunity?
Yeah, pretty much. I've talked to, not too many. It's rare. Some of those bigger cases, but these guys. That's just one incident. There's great things that go on throughout the state that nobody talks about, that I don't even hear about. And I'm just like, why doesn't somebody bring that up?
Yeah.
That was a great story. I think we could all learn from it, type of thing. But this one was, it was. There's guys that I'm sure they could if they would or whatever. But there's some guys that just don't want to.
Yeah.
Who wants to spend a night out 9 days without a shower?
Happy on their patrol and
which is good. They're dedicated. But like I say, I've always been a rover. I'm always wanting to volunteer to do stuff with the fun and exciting stuff. And so, because sometimes being an urban guy is not so much fun and exciting. You can only check so many fishermen and duck hunters in a day or in a year, and before you want to go venture out and see.
Yeah.
Because that was a true game warden.
Yeah, that's one of those
stories.
That's a romance novel.
Yeah, for sure.
That's the story that I would imagine a lot of folks in your position chase.
Yeah, and they think about, right. I mean, a very, very wildernessy, no communication with anybody between the three of us, I mean, it was
potentially dangerous situation.
Yeah. Everybody's who knows? I mean, but these guys ended up being, they were cooked. We had the evidence, showed them the video. It's like,
yeah.
I'll
ask two different questions, and I'm pretty sure the answer is the same. What's the most random day you've had, and probably the worst day you had?
Oh, okay. I think they were probably the same deal. The most random day I had was basically just working. I was working with my supervisor at the time, and we'd picked up a 17-year-old ride-along. He wanted to maybe someday he's going to be a game warden, right? So he wanted to go work the reservoir with us, and we were taking the boat out, and it's kind of fun, right? And we always liked putting the kids up on the deck to fish, and so it took their attention off of us, right? So we could watch guys.
Mm-hmm. Are you plain clothes at this point? Or?
No, we're uniform, but the kid he's up there. He's 17. Okay, he's up there fishing, and he's catching fish and having a good time, and Mark and I are spotting. We're watching people along Brownlee Reservoir.
Are people passing by and be like, man, how do I get on board on that?
No,
work.
Because we had a canopy on our boat, right? So you can't see us. I mean, it'd be hard to tell what we were wearing underneath the canopy of the boat. So we were underneath the canopy, the kids up front. And
Did you check his fishing license first before he got on?
Yeah. He was good.
Wise guy.
His grandfather was one of our hunter instructors. That's why he got.
Oh, sweet.
So anyway, we took him out, and we're watching these fishermen from Brownlee Reservoir, and we noticed a group of guys, and there's like two guys, but there's way too many poles out because you can only have 2 poles in Idaho max. Unless you're ice fishing, you can have 5, but I mean, there are way too many poles out. So we're watching this group of guys, and there's too many poles, and we're like, let's make sure everybody handles the pole. So we watched everybody. They got all these 2 guys handled all these poles, checking them and making sure that the bait was still good. And then from way down, the railroad tracks runs along Brownlee Reservoir right there. Mm-hmm. And so as we were about to go check these guys, we saw another guy from a camp, like, I don't know, a quarter mile away. He started walking down the railroad tracks. So he's walking down the tracks, and then, of course, here comes the train, right? And this train guy's like, toot, toot, he's tooting his horn, telling, hey, toot, toot, because there's no crossing there, but this guy's walking like right down the middle of the tracks I'm assuming to go meet up with these other guys. And then it's pretty soon we get in a boat, we start motoring our way over there to try to, see what's going on. And the train's ripping. It's like 55, 60 mile an hour train running through there. It's not super slow. So next thing you know, he's beep, 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 beep. And then he's just laying out his horn, whomp, whomp. And the guy never got off the tracks. Mm-hmm. The train just smashed him, just ran him right over. And or it didn't run him over, it threw him like a long ways. And so Mark parked the boat, and I ran up to the guy, and I was, checking for pulse, and it was obvious that it was a bad deal for him. And of course the kid in the boat was there. He's just, what the heck, and so Mark took the kid, and we went to no cell service or nothing. And so we went, and he got sheriff's office. And so I stayed there with the body, and all of his friends ended up showing up there, and had to deal with that, just a bad day for him. He wasn't suicidal or anything. He just apparently the buddy said he'd been drinking too much alcohol and didn't realize that there's a train coming down the tracks.
Oh my God!
So pretty rough day there, and we spent the rest of the day there. Was
he an older fella, or was he?
No, he's a young guy, maybe mid-20s. He had a wife and a little daughter, and so just possibly too much to drink, and but way to tough day for us.
Did you still end up writing those tickets for the too many poles?
Yeah, it's I couldn't believe those guys. After all that was said and done, we didn't even ask them. And the guys did ask if we wanted to check their fishing license. We're like, no, man, we're not checking your fishing license. It's just, go talk to people. Yeah, there was not a chance on that. We didn't even pop up. But I just thought it was a little bit strange that they asked us if we wanted to check their fishing license after all that horrific stuff that went on there.
Yeah.
What about on a lighter note? Like what are some of the urban like animal conflicts you've had to deal with?
Mostly the deer and the beaver, and a lot of beaver calls. Beavers getting into people's. I had one guy who built this fancy pond, right, a giant pond, and put up all these $200 silver maples all around the pond to get them to grow. One night, a beaver came out and wiped out like 20 of those trees. Just chunked them all off.
I don't mean to laugh, but
yeah, I said the same thing. I was like, dude, you could have put some wire around here or something. I guess he didn't have any clue, but I felt bad for the guy.
Yeah.
But it was like, holy cow. And so a lot of the beaver depredations were the ornamentals, people in town, they swim up in the canals and they chew on their brand new tree that they just planted and things like that. And I'm pretty good. I've got a reputation of being a pretty good live catching beaver guy. So Jamie Oots is moving some beavers down to Wahis. You guys, that'd be a good story to tell sometime.
Yeah, she's on our list, man.
Yeah, that'd be a good one. So I've transferred some over to her. She's
a hell of a skull bleacher too.
Yes. She's a taxidermist. Got her license. We verified that. We back in the day. But those. I guess we're always dealing with the baby bird calls and climbing in the trees and putting owls back in their nest and things like that. It's a lot of times though we pawn it off to animals in distress. We just possibly could not keep up with the amount of people in the town these days. Our CAP hotline, you guys probably talk about that down the road, but this Citizens Against Poaching, right?
Yeah.
95% of those calls are for injured animals and things like that, and they all go to the state police.
Do you feel like that percentage is higher or skewed being in the Treasure Valley?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I don't think
people out in Salmon aren't particularly too worried about it.
One of the guys I used to work with, I talked to him. He went to Elk City, right? Good young guy. He was in Elk City, and I said, "Hey, Lance, how many calls have you had? How many calls for service you had?" Because he was down here with me, working with me, and every day we get calls. It's like he has zero calls for service, and that's what they're called, calls for service, when you get a call, and it gets dispatched right to your phone from the state police, or they call you. They either call you, or most of the time they email you an email saying, "Hey, this is what's going on in your area. Go take care of it," type of thing. But he has zero in Elk City, and we've got the Boise guys. Holy smokes! Yeah, do not be a Boise officer.
It's probably constant for them.
I think they've got 4 just in the last hour. We've been sitting here for
skunks and raccoons.
Tweety birds,
a moose.
But some of that's fun. Sometimes it's a little old lady. Raccoons,
and their hearts are in the right place.
Yeah. And it's so they're so thankful that spent the time to go out there and help them out. And hey, nobody else would. Sheriff's office won't come out and help me. You did. Appreciate it. Type of stuff.
How often do you have to have those hard talks with some of those people where it's
it's like, hey, I can either try to, if it's a three-legged deer, that's my story, right? You got a better chance of living with 3 legs than they do with a bullet in their head, right? So you make the call if you can put up with it on your property. They got a chance. I've seen plenty of 3-legged deer running around out there that are having fawns and stuff. And so, but if you want me to put it down, I'll put it down. Not all the time. Sometimes we don't, just because they want to put it down.
Do you have to coach some of these folks too? Like maybe they have kind of like you were talking about with the beaver, like they're affluent enough to have their own pond and they're able to put in all these nice
maples,
ornamental stuff in their garden beds, and then all of a sudden a deer comes along and like they're basically attracting the animals. Yep. Do you have to coach through that?
Absolutely. Yeah. That's something that we bring up as soon as a problem arises. That hey, you've got to put wire around these things until they're big enough where they don't want to deal with them, or there's different chemical sprays you can spray on the stuff to keep deer that don't want to get in your stuff. But yeah, we're not going to go in there and remove the deer because of you. That's not how this works. Deer are here first type of deal. And some of them take it pretty good. Some of them don't take it in your own hands. I had one guy who couldn't take it anymore and just shot the deer. So now he gets to go to judge and tell him when he shot the deer.
Yeah.
And so he got, it's a
I
violation
planted
for
a tree. Deer eats the tree.
Yeah.
Deer bothers me. I'm going to shoot it.
Yeah. So it can be costly for them too. I mean, but yeah, it doesn't work that way. Sorry, you can't. And he was only trying to pepper it. I mean, this guy was using bird shot. He wasn't using a rifle. He was just using bird shot. Right? Oh. But the deer was 15 yards away. So number 4 duck loads are going to kill a deer,
Yeah.
Either way.
And not in a quick way either.
Right. Yeah. This thing ended up, it was bad. So anyway, good times.
Tell us about the time real quick that you run out of gas in the helicopter.
Yeah, good times there. I mean, I did a lot of flying in my career and surveys and, like I say, capture work. But yeah, we were headed.
You keep saying that you've flown a lot. Was that something that you wanted to do from day one, or was that something that you enjoyed doing younger?
I enjoyed doing it. I mean, that's what I did when we first got hired on as wildlife tech. I mean, we were deer capture guys.
And are you a pilot as well, or is this just riding along?
No, just riding along.
Cool.
So we were doing a survey, elk survey in 32, and the pilot he's one of those guys that had extra tanks on his aircraft, right, in our Bell 47. So he was flying, and we were it was like over 3 hours in the air, and normally our flights are like 2 hours. So it was over 3 hours, and it's getting to be 3.5. I was like, hey, I think we should, we're almost done. We got to finish up this subunit, right? So we finished up the subunit, and we fly to the airport where the field truck's supposed to be. And I'm looking at the airport. I was like, this is Payette Airport. We're supposed to be at the Weiser Airport. Gas tanks at the Weiser Airport. He had the wrong airport marked in his little GPS thing. And he's like, okay, well, I guess we're heading that way. So we start heading to Weiser when we're already low on fuel. And right in midair as we're flying, I could see the airport coming in the range here, and all of a sudden the bells and whistles go off, beep, 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 and the helicopter's winding down, just winds down. The helicopter just starts winding down. And it's like literally out of gas and in midair. And so we do what's called an auto rotation. It's basically the propeller blades. Luckily, it wasn't an airplane, because an airplane would have just nosedived right into, or he could have glided and landed maybe in a belly, but the wings, the rotors still keep turning up top. And so we came down and we came down heavy, landed into a beet field on the Oregon side of the river. And luckily it was wintertime again, snowy, and the beet field was a little bit softer. But yeah, just when people say, man, did you ever get in a ship with that guy again? I was like, heck yeah, we flew the next day. Yeah. I was like, well, why would you do that? I said, hey, any pilot.
You say, beats me.
Yeah, there you go. Any pilot that can fly a helicopter without gas in it is a pretty good pilot, in my opinion. Maybe not the best judgment for, pushing his luck. We should have just stayed at Payette and then have the field truck come to us.
Yep.
But yeah.
That would have been the sensible thing to do.
That's not, and it's not that far away.
No, that's what we thought. Or that's what he thought. Yeah. I mean, it's not that far away, so we can make it. Yeah. Where other way is, well, it's not that far for the field truck. Would have taken an extra half hour maybe for the field truck to get there. But no, we can make it. But so that was a good one. That was fun times.
Connor, do you have some rapid fire questions?
I do, but real quick, I want to ask you about Elliott the Elk.
Oh man, do you want to hear about Elliott the Elk? Do you really? Yeah. All right, so Elliott the Elk was a elk that one of our local guys raised it. He was in Sweet, Idaho. The elk had lost a mom, and so this little baby calf was running around. So this rancher decided he was going to bottle feed it and hang out and fed it and got it nice and big, and the elk made it. But he became so tame that now he's a spike running around town, going to the going to the parties.
Yeah.
He's up on the porches. He won't let people in their houses. He's chasing the girls around, during the rut season, right? And he's
elk girls?
No, regular girls.
Oh.
Right.
Just took a turn.
So it could be dangerous right now. We got a human. It comes from a funny type of, hey, this elk's kind of fun. He's at our party tonight, showed up. And now he's chasing people and
rampage,
and jumping on girls and stuff. And so time to move, right? So, so we went and being a capture guy, I went there with my lariat and my catch pole and my net gun and everything else, and we ended up catching him. That's
a big belt you're wearing.
Yeah, we caught him with a net gun, and we didn't know what to do. And we're like, well, we're going to take him in the wilderness. Let's take him back to be with other elk. And so we gave it to a guy. One of the other officers in the area was going to transport and put him in a horse trailer. He's going to take him up and take him way back in the wilderness and drop him off. But instead of taking him way back up in the wilderness, he got just outside of right before the boat ramp at that takes all the middle forkers down, Dagger Falls. He drops them off at a campground because it's easy to get the horse trailer in there and turn around. So he dumps them off there at the campground, thinking he's going to go wander off into the wilderness, which wasn't that far away, but
sure.
But old Elliott wasn't having it. So every rafter that went by there, he was running down the road,
popping their rafts.
Yeah, and so we got a call during archery season that this elk was in this guy's elk camp and they were trying to protect it. And so you
don't get that call very often.
No, they didn't want to kill it. It's like, hey, something's going on. This elk, he's
got a collar on.
So we ended up going back up into Bear Valley and got the net gun out again and shot him, put him down, took him back to. But the funny thing is, when we knew he was in the meadows up in there. Can't think of the meadows off the top of my head, but he's in the meadows. And so we knew he was up there from the reports of the archery guys. As we were driving up, we could see him out in the meadow.
Elk Creek area?
Elk Creek, Bear Valley Creek.
Yeah.
Bear Valley Creek, yep. So he was in Bear Valley Creek. And then as we were pulling up, we could see him out in the meadow. And then we were coming around the corner of the horse trailer, and we saw this archer out there pulling a sneak on him. Must have been somebody who didn't know, but he's like, and so he was literally minutes away from putting an arrow in this Elliott the Elk. And we were like, wait. That's not a real elk, type of thing. So it was, but it wasn't, right? Because he's
still drugged.
So the guy's like, hey, man, apologize. We send him on the way, checked his license.
You blew my stock.
Yep. And so we ended up catching Elliott again with a net gun, and he went to Texas A&M and became famous there as one of their research elk.
Really?
Wasn't he just in the news? I thought maybe
he graduated. Yeah.
No, Alex passed away now.
Yeah, there was something.
But anyway, it was fun. My girls got to feed him when we kept him at the wildlife lab in Caldwell. My daughters got to feed him and take care of him until we could find a home for him that wasn't in the public. And Texas A&M said they would take him, and so we sent him there to Bruce Willis's study and stuff for their projects.
Cool, yeah. Very cool.
But that was Elliott's story. It was. It was quite
Lonesome Larry.
Elliott. What's that?
We've got Lonesome Larry and Elliott the Elk.
Yeah. Whole cast of characters.
Yeah.
Whole cast. Tell us about your award in 2019.
Yeah, so 2019, again, the thing I love about this agency, right, is I've never tried to be like an award winner. I just want to do. You get rewarded for doing your job. Is what I see from these guys. I mean, 2019, I got the Shikar Safari Award, which is given to one officer in Idaho. I mean,
not nationwide, just Idaho.
Well, each state
has
they represent. They give one officer in each state the Shikar Safari. And for Idaho, it was me out of, whatever, we got 80 guys or something like that. And I was duty officer that day. I remember I was sitting in the office of all things because they make you become duty officer. You
Getting chewed out on the phone.
Checking things, right.
I've got a raccoon.
Right. So one of my most dreaded days of all is the duty officer day, but you got to do it to see what the front office staff has to deal with on a daily basis, right? I have to do it once every 6 months, and I can't take it, so there's no way. But anyway, I was sitting there and
really quick, because I think our listeners probably don't know what duty officer does, but can you just quickly explain why we have a duty officer?
So a duty officer is they basically they want to help out the administrative assistants up front. Their job is to when the front office staff is dealing with phone calls or we just help out answer phone calls. The duty officer checks in bears. If it's a bear season, you check in bears so they can sell licenses, because I'm not very good at selling licenses. They don't trust me with the money. So they're doing their thing, and the duty officer is just an extra hand for that day to help out answer phone calls and transfer calls and answer questions for people. Because, again, biological questions, biologist isn't always there. So the duty officer's job is to try to say, hey, where's the best fishing in Idaho? Or where's where did you plant this weekend or something? So duty officer just helps out the front office staff.
Okay.
So I was there, and when I just got called in, and I opened a door to the conference room, and there's my wife and my 2 daughters sitting there, and I was like, what in the world's going on? And my daughter's got a little thing she made me, and then I see the chief, and I'm like, what's going on? I still don't know what's going on, because it's not like employee of the year time or anything like that. And I was like, what'd I do? And something happened. So anyway, then they said that, Shikar Safari, you've been nominated and received the Shikar Safari. I just about crap my pants, because I wasn't expecting it. Right? If it was something like I made this giant Tazmanian case or something.
Yeah.
Oh man, maybe
You'd kind of smell it coming or something.
Yeah, I did. I had no clue.
But
and those are the worst.
There wasn't anything that gave you any.
Not necessarily. I mean, that year was the year that I received recognition from the wildlife group guys, because again, wildlife crew. Received an award from them for helping out with capture work, because there's limited number of people that like to fly or can. Some people just don't like flying or they get sick in the helicopter. So, I was able to work as a capture crew member. I mean, as a gunner and a mugger. And it was a huge undertaking where we started really sacking up animals to put collars and stuff on them. And, we caught over 1,000 animals that year. And, so I don't know if that was part of it or what, but just the general, just general overall. I mean, it was of all the officers, I thought some other guys were probably more deserving, but it is what it is, and I accepted it, and I was super excited about that, because I remember back in 2004, and again, I'm not trying to toot the horn or whatever, but 2004, I got the Employee of the Year, or as a conservation officer, Employee of the Year, not the Shikar, which is a national thing. And I remember Bob Sellers also got it that year, and Bob and I were 20 years apart. I was like 3 years on, or 4 years on. Bob had been on for 30 years. Whoa. And again, such a difference in, and again, I had just it was at ISTS. So you guys have been to the in-service trainings.
Yep.
ISTS in-service training, where they give their awards out at the end of the year. And they announced Bob. I was like, man, good for Bob. He's been busting his tail, and he's a great guy. He's been working hard. And I just went to the tap and got a beer from the keg, and I was heading back to my seat, and then they called my name, and again I was just like, I couldn't even walk.
You got back and half your beer was gone.
It was
sort of shaking out.
It was crazy, and I was just like, what in the world did I do? I mean, and again, it was I don't know. My supervisor recognized me as just being an all-around conservation officer, right? Not an enforcement guy. I did the kid fishing days. I mean, and that's just, I did it because I wanted to, not because he told me to, right? And it's just fun to go out and visit with these kids and go to the fishing ponds and teach them how to fish, and school career days. And and all this stuff. Plus, I was at that time, I was really cranking out violations. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on. I was early in my career really putting the herd on the fishermen without license people and the duck hunters. Poor duck hunters. Duck hunters have it tough.
It was a bad year to be a duck hunter.
It was a bad year to be a duck hunter. Duck hunters got so many things they got to deal with, and they can't keep them all straight. But anyway, and I was fair. I wasn't like, get me as, it was probably 50-50 citation versus warnings too. I mean, I give guys warnings that truly deserved it, but there's guys that truly deserve the other way around too. But anyway, those two were kind of highlights, and I think back, and I can't think of one thing that it was like that spelled that out. It was just working for the department and trying to do your best and getting along with people. I can't think of anybody and as officers or even, meeting you guys now. Hopefully we can hang out and
heck yeah,
a little more often.
Take us out once you're retired.
Jump in the truck with us.
Yeah. What do you think it takes to be a good officer?
Yeah, again, the communication is huge. I mean, you don't need the wildlife stuff. You just got to be able to socialize with people. And again, I was an FTO, over a dozen, a field training officer where I trained the new guys that come on. And a lot of them were they were, what you think is a typical game warden. They're recluse. They didn't want to they wanted to go to Stanley and hang out and not, just do their own thing. But you can't be that way. You've got to be outgoing. You got to be social. And, you kind of got to be, an extrovert and be able to, because it's people management more than wildlife management. When as an officer, I deal more on the, hey man, let's work through this rather than, wildlife stuff's kind of, and fishery stuff is, it's hard work, but it's just not the same as, being able to communicate with guys and work through their issues. Everybody has problems, and you just got to be kind of a shoulder to lean on it sometimes, and sometimes you got to be a disciplinarian and kick them in the butt and say, hey, what you did is dumb, and you're going to get paid for it. So, but again, just communication is a big, and treating people like, like they won't, like anybody we treated. I mean, it's just stereotypical rule of thumb, right? In life, treat people as you'd like to be treated, because, no offense to my police officer friends out there, but they get after people pretty good. And then I'll be right behind them and I'll say, hey man, and I'll be talking to them in a different tone of voice or a different, and they totally like, okay, I'm not talking to you anymore, but I'll talk to this guy because he's nice to me, right, or whatever. But not always nice to people, like you say. I mean, sometimes that, people, you treat them with respect, and it goes a long way. And them cooperating with you, making my life easier. Anything that makes my life easier, that's my goal, right?
Yeah,
so
that's victory.
Yeah, for sure. So I will visit with them and let them know that, hey, this is an issue.
That's something that we've covered with this podcast with other COs is, a lot of times when you're making those contacts with people, it's their worst day, or it's, a number of worst days. And I think any amount of grace that you show them, that potentially it was a mistake or an accident, maybe it wasn't, but like you said, going into it with a little bit of grace, and treating them like, treating them civilly, probably goes a long way. Yeah,
for sure. And I mean, here's a story that wasn't that case. I mean, when I first got on, I was running a check station at a WMA for a pheasant check station, right? And this guy came through and he had a pheasant and he didn't have it marked on his card. You got to mark your pheasants on your card. And, and I wasn't on my best day that day. And I was trying to, tell him how he was being cheated. He was cheating the system and doing all this kind of stuff. And the guy just looked at me in the eye and he says, "I'm not a effing criminal. Quit treating me like one." And I'm like, "Ooh. Holy crap, that right there." And so that made me feel like, this big, right? So, and at the same time, I was like, yeah, I was. I mean, that was a bad deal. So that one, I remember that next time I'm talking to people, I remember that guy.
And it was pretty obvious at the time that he just forgot to mark his tag.
Yeah, apparently. I mean, for whatever reason in my head that day, I was thinking maybe he trying to sneak out with a pheasant because, why didn't you tagged all the other pheasants from other days. Why didn't you tag this one, right?
Yeah.
But that guy looked at me in the eye, and I knew he just screwed up, and I'm like, I apologized to him. I said, man, I'm sorry, sir. I do apologize. For treating you that way. Nobody should be treated that way. And so that set me straight right off the get-go. Mm-hmm. So that's something that I learned early on, and I quit. You never know what people are doing or what they're thinking or whatever. So,
well, Brian, you want to join us in a round of rapid fire?
Oh, sure.
Are you familiar with how this works?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. So we ask you a bunch of questions, hardly any time, no time to answer them. Let's see how many we can get through. All right. Here we go. Fly rod or spin rod?
Spinner.
Oh. Would you only be able to fish for kokanee for 1 week or only fish for rainbow trout for the whole year?
Kokanee 1 week.
Are you a kokanee angler?
Yeah.
Oh, sweet. Fried fish or grilled fish?
Grilled.
Mauled by a grizzly bear or shish kebab by an elk antler?
Mauled by a grizzly bear.
Oh.
1 week to hunt any game animal in Idaho. Which animal and why?
1 week. Oh, it's elk for sure. I mean, I'm an archery guy. I've been doing it for 30 years, and that's my thing.
All right. Which are the better game animal in your opinion, white-tailed deer or mule deer?
I'm going to go with muleys.
You're leaving to go on a hunting and fishing trip, and you pack your cooler. What kind of sandwich and what kind of drink?
I've got Gatorades and peanut butter and jelly.
Nice. Thank God no tuna this time. Tootsie Roll. And Tootsie Roll and Ritz crackers. Would you rather have elk antlers like Elliott or a beaver tail?
Elk antlers.
Cool. What is the worst thing that you've ever smelled on the job?
Probably snake poop.
Whoa.
It's bad.
Really?
What?
Yeah.
How did you even get tangled up with that?
We did a search warrant on a guy's house, and we had a bunch of spitting vipers and stuff, and the smell in that basement was just terrible.
Oh.
Worst thing ever.
At 30 yards, would you rather get shot by 12-gauge dove shot or a compound bow expandable broadhead?
I'm going to go with the 4-shot.
I think that's it.
I have fear of being hit by the arrows because I archery hunt a lot, and I always wondered, oh man, I can't imagine what that.
Have you ever cut your hand or your finger trying to?
Yeah, so
when you're processing an animal.
Right? Yeah, I have. So it's not terrible, but at the same time,
like a massive paper cut.
I was gonna say, if we ever told that story, I did get shot by number 7 dove loads, and that was the kid that ended up being my trainee. He's the one. He actually shot me. That's why I was mad because I was went to check him. And it was late, shooting after hours, and then I went to find him, and then pulled the trigger and hit me with shot, and hit me in the head and stuff. And that's
holy cow.
That's when I was like, "Yay! Drop the guns, put your guns down, don't move." I was just being I was just totally mad at that kid, and couldn't find out later he was sitting in the truck next to me trying to be a game warden. So I thought that was pretty funny.
How did that story not get brought up?
It sounds like a politician. Wyoming at one point.
Yeah. So anyway, good stuff.
Well, Brian, is there anything else, man, that you want to talk about or cover, or any people you want to thank?
No, I want to just thank Fish and Game guys, all of my supervisors and stuff. They've been great over the years. Really got me through it. Like you say, it is a big family. Been through 7 directors. We had one that was a little, that's been, all of them have been, supportive of enforcement. So it's been good to have that support, even though we've had talks about switching over and becoming like part of the state police. So I'm glad that we could. I think that's what draws guys to being game wardens or conservation officers, is you can kind of do both. You're not a policeman, you're a conservation officer. So
yeah,
that really sold it for me.
And hunters and anglers, they appreciate you for that. And obviously, going up and shaking your guys' hand after busting those Aussies or those Kiwis.
Yeah.
Tazies.
Tazies. That's why you guys are here.
Yeah.
Or it's one of the biggest reasons why you guys are here.
What's the short-term plan for retirement?
My answer is I'm going to do whatever the heck I want. But no, I've got I've got a small business, little small engine repair business that I have, and then I do I worked fires in the summertime. Driving truck, working fire. Yep.
Very cool.
So
Wildland fire?
You'll keep busy.
Yep.
Yeah, I'll keep busy.
That doesn't sound like retirement.
No plans to go to Hawaii or?
No, I'm not a travel guy. I like to stay close to home. There's actually a lot of parts of Idaho that I'd like to go see. I've never spent too much time up in North Idaho at all, on the Canadian border area. Basically, Riggins is farthest north that I really spent much time in at all. So I'd like to go see the other half of Idaho at some point, and do some traveling. So
you can go with us in July when we go up to the commission meeting.
Oh yeah,
there you go.
There you go. Come fishing with us. We're gonna do some fly fishing up there on the St. Joe.
No
or
kidding.
Spinner.
Yeah,
sweet.
Or spinner rod fishing.
Yeah, I should have been a trick question.
It's okay.
Are you thankful that your daughter talked you into being on this podcast?
I am actually. Yeah. I was not much into public speaking or doing any of this type of stuff. Just kind of like to be under the radar. But she'll be happy, and love my kids. So obviously that's hopefully she wants to be a game warden, which is kind of scary. So we'll have to figure out what that is. She's already, whenever anybody asks her what she wants to do for a living.
Yeah. Well, she's got a hell of a role model,
She wants to be a conservation officer. So we'll see if I can talk her out of it or not. But it's been a good gig for me, so I can't complain, right?
You didn't tell all the bad stories to talk her out of it.
I had not yet. No, we'll get into those down the road. No, she can do whatever she wants, right? It's I don't want to try and. It's been good. She's absolutely not being a cop like her mom. That's one thing we've determined.
Do you guys try to fight for like what she should be, like between the
No. Well, we just know what she's not going to be, and she's not going to be a Nampa police officer. I mean, no offense to the Nampa Police's awesome administration. My wife's have a great deal there. It's just people change. It's not. Megan's a kinder, gentler soul, and we need the other type of folks out there to get after these these rough and tough people out there that need more than just a, hey, how you doing today? I'm Officer Marek with the Fish and Game. They need something else. So, anything
you want to say to John Rochelle?
John Rochelle, thanks for the memories.
He stopped by earlier.
Yeah, I'll keep
popped his head in.
I'll keep some stories to ourselves. But he's been a good guy. He was our regional supervisor. We got to know him as a wildlife guy, and then I think he helped tremendously get me into into the wildlife stuff, being a capture guy, and so super thankful for him and for giving me the. Allow me to be part of the
you'll have to stop by his office on your way out and check out his TikTok light.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, he does. No kidding.
Got a big TikTok light.
That's fantastic.
Brian, almost 30 years, man.
Yeah, buddy.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thanks for sitting down with us.
From the people of Idaho, we've talked to several people that are on their way out. We like to take an opportunity to just say thank you from the folks of Idaho as well for doing what you've done for fish and wildlife and in the state, and a lot of stuff couldn't be done without conservation officers like yourself.
Yeah, man, I appreciate it, guys. Thanks a lot, and what you guys do too is fascinating to me. I think it's awesome that you guys are getting the word out there that fishing game's not all ghosts and goblins. We actually care about a resource, right? And we try to do the best we can to manage wildlife here in Idaho, whether it's with a citation or with a more deer in the landscape. So
or a lariat.
Lariat.
Well, thanks, Brian.
All right, guys.
Really appreciate you being here, man.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.